Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, America's Cup fans.
What a day.
I don't know where to go,
What
lads.
a day.
Help me out with the top of the show. Cornish, you're a wise man.
Ticket to the Cup. Booked. Done.
Cracking day.
Cracking day. My goodness, what a day. So, in case you've been under a rock, we went in today 6-4 up in the Challenger Series final against Prada, one of the greatest sailing teams, I think we'll all agree, of the last quarter of the century. Needed one race to get to 7 wins and book ourselves in the Cup. And we just probably had, we were just talking before we went live, one of the most intense races of our sailing careers. Lee, in the briefing this morning, we pushed off the dock thinking we're going to be yachting around in under 10 knots. We were talking about light air techniques. We were talking about keeping the boat on the foil, how the tacks and the jibes were massive and all of that. But, buddy, what did we actually end up racing?
Yeah, I think we had like kind of 14, 15 knots at the end in that race. And yeah, it kind of took us all by surprise. There was one model that had that breeze kicking in, but most of them was super light and really struggling with the kind of gradient breeze we had offshore in the morning. So it was a bit of a gear shift for us, but you know, it was almost kind of seamless really in how it all happened. And yeah, it was great. Kind of got the right sails up and kind of got ripping in that breeze in the practice.
I tell you what, I haven't introduced the lads yet. I think you all know who they are, but what we've done for tonight's show is I'm head down in the boat, so I had no idea what was going on at any given moment. We've got Lee McMillan, as you all know, the Swizz, who is on the port side. He's got his head up on the port side, so he can tell us everything that happened on the left-hand side of the course. And then we've got Ben Cornish, one of our cyclors, who allows himself a little peek up on the starboard side. So, Corndog, you can tell everyone what was going on the right-hand side of the course. So, I think before we get into the show, we here at Ineos Britannia are absolutely over the moon to win the Challenger Series. But, my God, we were pushed all the way by one of the greatest sailing teams that's been in the America's Cup, certainly in the modern era, in Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. It was the series of our lifetimes, and we've got nothing but respect for Mr. Batelli, who sits at the head of that syndicate, Max Serena, who runs the show, Jimmy Kecko, and all of the guys who sit within the Luna Rossa family. And a lot of sailing teams and America's Cup teams talk about being a family, and I had the privilege of being with them 10 years ago. And those guys are unbelievable, and we know that you'll be hurting right now, but what a battle, and nothing but love and respect for Luna Rossa, rightly.
So yeah, absolutely. You know, they were, you know, they really kind of set the standards when we all kind of got our big boats out here in Barcelona, and have been, you know, really kind of set the bar high, and I think all the teams have been chasing them down. You know, they kind of conduct themselves amazingly, like pushed incredibly hard, and you know, what an incredible team, and just, yeah, obviously feels amazing to have just managed to have got the upper hand of them in the end. But yeah, amazing racing against them. And
I'm just hearing from Louis, our director, that Jimmy's over at the mix zone now, and he's actually just announced his retirement from the America's Cup. And I think when we're talking about Jimmy Spithill, he first landed on my radar when he helmed Young Australia in 2000 in an old boat, and absolutely duffed up some amazing people in the pre-starts. Then went on to 2003, where he was with an American syndicate, joined Luna Rossa all the way back in 2007. He went to the Challenger Series final, again lit up the pre-starts, and then was at the time the youngest helmsman to win the America's Cup in 2010 in the Deed of Gift. Then defended it in the big boats in 2013. Lost it in 2017, went to the match again, beating us in the Challenger Series final in 2021. And then obviously we've just beaten Jimmy today. But Cornish, when you think of the America's Cup in the modern era, Jimmy Spithill is definitely a character that's at the top of everyone's list, right?
Yeah, I mean, like you just listed off, it's an unreal career. Yeah, it'd be a massive shame to see Jimmy gone, but I think, like you were just saying, the development that he's seen is probably the highest curve of performance sailing. Like, yeah. I guess he started his game in the traditional slow boats,
yeah.
And now look where we are now. We're sailing these boats around at 50 knots. So it's not, you know, it's not an easy transition, let's say, but he's been part of it the whole way and pushed it the leading edge, I think.
Yeah, nothing but respect for you, Jimmy, and that was a hell of a fight out there today, brother. So from all of us to everyone at Prada, full respect, and what a battle. Today's racing. Let's dissect our race. As we said, Swizz, we were kind of set up for a 10 knot, keeping it on the foil race, but as we went into the pre-start, I looked down at my dial and we did have 13 knots as we entered on port. Take us away.
Yeah, so port entry, and we were kind of umming and ahhing about whether Luna Rossa would try something a little bit different. They kind of have kind of perfected their kind of preferred routine here of kind of getting out to the boundary and really kind of nailing their time and distance back to the line and making it difficult for the other boat to kind of decide which side of them to go. But we kind of stuck to our plan in this particular race to kind of jump in front of them and kind of lead them back. And really from here, they obviously had a bit of gauge to us, but the guys, all the guys on the boat did an amazing job of kind of, particularly at this point, all you boys putting the power down, giving us a really awesome trigger pull off the line. That's a nice shot, like that. And just kind of you can see with the boat speeds there, having that bit of overspeed off the line gave us a really, really strong position. So, it was kind of like probably our best executed pre-start to date.
Good time to bring it out, just quietly, yeah.
Yeah, and you can't kind of highlight the importance of just that actual trigger pull onto the line and kind of really getting the boat hooked up with that speed and on angle. And in that time, we got it absolutely spot on. So well done, you boys.
Easy, mate. They're creaking a bit. They're creaking a bit, brother. At Cordish, we kind of recognise that with 15 seconds to go, we're looking at all of our dials, seeing where all the sheets are at. And Shrekky Decky, Matt Gottrell, gave us a call to arms, and away we went, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for the majority of the cyclors, head down, and it's quite disorientating, isn't it? Yeah. Not knowing where you've ended up in the box, and just knowing, that last 20 seconds when you've really got to give it everything.
Yeah. As
you saw there in the video, the final wind up in these boats can eventually give you the result of the race. Just getting your nose in front at the cross of the line, and yeah, like Lee said, it was a really nicely executed race. Not by coincidence, the guys do so much work behind the scenes in the simulator. And what you saw out there today wasn't a thing that wasn't planned. The guys have run through that scenario probably 50 or 60 times in the sim, and they know exactly where to put the boat, given this time, turn up here, trigger at this point, and it was just so nicely executed. So it's great to see that come off.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. You might be hearing some background noise just tucked below us here. We have our Estrella Dam Bar, the Grenadier pub. And as you can imagine, there's a few people having a couple of pints. So just to prove the show is live as always, you might hear a few cheers and whatnot down there as they're enjoying their Estrella Dams, well-earned Estrella Dams, particularly by the shore crew lads, taking a well-earned beer, Swizz. So launched into the race. I remember Giles saying to you afterguard types just before the start, Garby features, but just have your head out the boat. Garby features for us means kind of like the right-ish, but very much keep your head out the boat. That was Giles's last comms before we went comms off. Just so you guys know, the coach boats can't talk to us during the race. It's just the 8 sailors on the boat. And as you see off that start line, we had a lovely little trigger pull. They bounced off to the right, maybe the favoured side. We came back, and that wound us up for a really intense first upwind, exchanging tacks and blows with them, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm kind of there, sat on the port side, so I can't see how close you actually are. But Ben was said on the comms going for a lee bow tack here, and obviously did a really nice job of getting it tucked in tight. And then the next thing on the comms is like they're going for the hook, and that's when I kind of held my breath, because you don't have eyes on, but you know that you're in for a real battle at that point, and anything can happen. But it was super close. But what an amazing job of getting that tack in just in front and making them push for the hook, but making it so that they couldn't actually get it. And that really kind of gave us a little bit of a boost on that beat. Quite a bit of distance lost for them there, pushing down and then having to tack out. And we're obviously matching them on speed at this point already, so could, kind of like try and go into kind of a defensive mode, touch and go. and you kind of your heart's in your mouth at that point when you hear those comms, but you can't really see what's going on, and you're just trying to do your job as well as possible.
Yeah, living and dying off the comms with the split boat, and obviously for us cyclors, keeping your head down. So that effectively bounced Prada back off to the favoured right side, but they had to do 2 quickish tacks because we were on the right hand side of the course axis. I don't know. I mean, we haven't watched the race back. I don't think the lead ever really stretched out above maybe 10 seconds as we went throughout the race, Corn.
Yeah, I don't think so. Like you say, they did a good job of hanging on in there. I think the hard thing is that chasing boat is staying in the game. Yeah. It's quite easy to go looking for something that's not there and sort of letting the race get away from you. And they did an amazing job of staying in the fight, not looking for splits that weren't on, and then up I think it was the 5th leg, where they got the split at the leeward gate.
Yes, they went right at the leeward gate, right? I think, or
they
went
left.
Turn, so
left turn.
right,
we went left, we went right.
Upwind.
And that led us into the 3rd upwind, which everybody who was watching said was the nervy upwind, I believe, Corny.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think probably up until this point we had a little bit of a buffer, certainly more than this. And then the result of the split of the leeward gate is this, that you can see they were sort of back within 25, 30 metres. And, at this point, you're 5 legs out of 8, the race is back on for them. They're thinking, right, we've got a shot at these guys. And for us on board, it was certainly a bit more of a stressful moment because you've sailed half the beat effectively out of phase. And, you thought you had a bit of a buffer, and now you look now, we're coming into the same windward gate.
Give him a wave. There's a J-class boat coming in, giving us 3 cheers. Oh, that's a touch. Love that. How good is that?
Beauty.
We love a bit of 3 cheers, don't we? Love a bit of 3 cheers. Hey, you keep the noise down, Salvo. We're live on the internet. we're live on the internet, and you're carrying on in a pub. Calm down, you lot.
But I mean,
and you, Scully, calm down.
For the guys watching this, the race was never over, was it? I mean, look how close it gets back with 3 legs to go, 5 legs in.
And that was a tense moment as
well.
Oh,
what so for me, Swizz, with sort of a tack bear away it's not high risk, but we know that you go from a slower speed to a higher speed with a lot of acceleration.
Yeah, we had to put a tack in front of them. We couldn't make left turn. We were kind of hoping we were actually going to get left turn so we could save that tack and then get the early jibe on, but we weren't on lace. We knew that they were close coming across, and I could see them at that point. I knew we had to get the tack in, accelerate, get the bear away in, and they were going to be absolutely hot on our heels by the time we got around that mark. So it was like, it was super close at that point going down that next run.
And you're on the port side with Dylan bearing away. You're kind of in charge of bringing all the sails back on. You gave the lads a bit of a pep up there, didn't you, Swizz? Just giving the boy. You were cracking the whip, weren't you? You were driving the chariot.
It's pretty tricky because you're going slower into the manoeuvre, so your kind of routine amount of things you ease and kind of trim back on and timing is just always a bit different. So you end up always doing a few more little corrections just to make sure.
Right, Corn?
You just got to sacrifice the boys at some point.
Oh my God! Our displays on that tack bear away, our displays lit up like a Christmas tree with all the things that were being requested. And you just had Leroy at the back going, go on, lads.
Keep going, lads. Keep going.
Big push, lads.
But that was kind of telling of the race because we had easy options. Yeah. We were set up for ley lines, and the Luna Rossa team were never far enough away to give up a split. Yeah. So we were always asked of, right, let's match where they're going.
So what do you mean by that, Ben? We could have kind of given them more leverage, made our lives easier, but actually what we chose to do...
Try and shut it down where we could.
Try and shut it down the whole time.
Yeah, stay in sync.
Stay in sync with them. It's like #1 rule of match racing, right? Keep between if you're in the lead, keep between the opposition and the next mark.
Especially in those conditions today, because like Giles said, Garby features, but eyes out. It was super shifty. Some really big shifts, really big holes, and that's on that 3rd beat, that's what kind of caught us out and gave them the jump back into us. With a split at the bottom. So yeah, we went into defensive match race mode and just made sure we had them kind of locked down as best as possible, and it actually at times keeps the game closer, but in a way if you're kind of back in your boat handling and stuff, then it's a bit more comfortable, at least kind of staying that side of it.
Yep. But we kept them behind. and we went on to win the race. We went on to win race. Someone help me out here. What race number was it? I don't even know anymore. I want
Day
to say
7 race.
11?
11.
Louis, what race? 11. Louis
Sounds
just
about
said.
right.
So we went on to win race 11.
7-4, yeah. 11.
And we went on to win the Challenger Series, the Louis Vuitton Cup for the 37th America's Cup. We are the first British boat to win an international Challenger Series. We're the first British boat in 60 years to go into the match. The last boat was Sovereign in Newport in 1964. That only beat one other British boat to get. I'm impressing you here, aren't I? I actually do know this.
Good
I'm an
knowledge.
absolute America's Cup.
Very good knowledge.
They're not telling me. They're not telling me. So Sovereign got to the match in 64, but it only beat another British boat. It went on to lose to the New York Yacht Club 4-0. They represented the Royal Thames. We represent the Royal Yacht Squadron. We are the first British boat in the history of the America's Cup, 173 years, to win an international Challenger Series and get to the match. And that led to celebrations like this. We have a little motto, don't we, that we recognise probably in our 10-year history of our team, we're a bit too British and don't really sometimes celebrate our wins enough. But I think right there, you can see how much it means to all of us. It feels like a big moment in British sailing. It feels like a big moment, I hope, in British sport, but the main event is yet to come. Let's not lose sight of that, but it's a huge hurdle to beat that phenomenal sailing team, right, Lee?
Yeah, absolutely. But like you said, we one of our mottos is to celebrate the wins. But for sure, focus will quickly shift to the next match and the all-important one. So exciting times. Gonna have a good celebrate tonight, but really looking forward to the week ahead and getting stuck into what's to come.
And Corn Doggy, Ben Ainsley, the governor, gave us on the morning of the day that we won 2 races, he gave us a nice little pepper. Actually, in 15 years of sailing with Ben, those words resonated with me more than I think anything he's ever said. He spoke beautifully and we went on to have a great day. But on the flip side today, his message was, lads, just another day, trust the process, right?
Yeah, it was certainly not overhyped. There was a very normal feeling about this morning. Obviously everyone knew what the outcome could be or how difficult tomorrow could look if it was different. But Ben's message was sort of, we don't need to change anything.
Yeah.
Stick to the process, and we're going to end the day in a good place if we get what we know we can do right.
And that's what we did.
Here we are.
We won the Louis Vuitton Cup, lads. Could not be more proud of everybody in that building, everybody at Brackley. A huge thank you to Ineos, obviously, Sir Jim and the Ineos family, the whole sporting Ineos family, for helping us get this far. Ben's bloody amazing leadership, as always. We started this syndicate 10 years ago. We launched RB1 5 years ago today under the Ineos umbrella. So it feels quite fitting that we launched our first version of this AC75 5 years ago.
Why is it always on my birthday?
I don't know, actually. Oh, happy birthday, Corn Dog. Double up top boy. How old?
33.
33.
It's going to be a birthday to remember, I reckon.
I reckon, bud.
Hard to beat.
So yeah, it's sort of decade into the syndicate, 5 years into the AC75. Huge moment for British sailing. But we're not done yet. We are going to celebrate tonight, and we are going to the 37th America's Cup match. And we could not be more excited. We could not be more ready. We are going to race an incredible team in Emirates Team New Zealand. We know what they bring to the party. I think it's going to be equally as exciting racing as we've seen against Prada in the Challenger Series final. It's going to be the greatest sailing that the world has ever seen. And we're going to take you on the journey from inside Tack. The racing starts a week tomorrow on the 12th of October. We'll do a couple of feeder shows for you. But the other stuff is the Women's America's Cup. The first ever Women's America's Cup starts tomorrow in the AC40s. led by Hannah Mills, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 1-time Olympic silver medalist. That is going to be incredible viewing. If you're hooked on the America's Cup proper in the big boats, do tune in tomorrow to watch Hannah start her campaign to be the first ever Women's America's Cup challenge. That would be unbelievable. And lads, I think we've got to go and
doing some decompression.
Decompression, right? You'll have
Well
a
overdue.
bit. You'll have a pint tonight, Corn.
I've already had 2.
Swiss, yourself.
Yeah, a sip of champagne, I think.
Sophisticated, isn't it? I think that sums us up, doesn't it, lads?
Yeah.
Full respect to Prada. Amazing feeling for us, but we know our real regatta starts next Saturday, and that's what we're going to get ready for. Thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you next time on the Inside Tack.